heard. We want to let it known that we are for peace. Before we start this evening's proceedings, I'm going to ask everyone to stand as we observe a moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives. May their souls rest in peace and the light perpetual shine upon them. May be seated. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all the brave ones among us. You braved the weather and you are here. We wanted to do a walk, but whatever we do this afternoon will be highly appreciated. The rains came, and there's nothing under the sun that God does that is not to be done. I'm now going to hand over to Pastor Blake, and he will take us through devotions.
Well, let us pray. I want to share a scripture with you just before Psalm 34 verse 18, which reminds us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. Let us pray. Sovereign God, we pause to reflect on your goodness even in the midst of death. We know, Lord, that you are close to those who are brokenhearted, and you are near to those who are crushed in spirit. And so as we come today as a community with concerns about violence and crime, we come stand united, not just in grief.
Ready? Everybody, focus together, quickly.
We stand as a strong.
And our first presenter will be Pastor Paul Blake. Is that you? Can you put your hands together?
All right, good afternoon. Thank you. I think one of the conversations that we ought to have, and I want to speak from the perspective as a psychologist, and one of the conversations that we should have today is the psychological impact that crime and violence continues to pose on our community. And with the recent events of last week, in particular, specifically speaking of here, or students, and we recognize over the past several months that there have been an uptake in disruptive behaviors in school. And what we will find is that traumatic events will have to do with disruptive behaviors. And so whatever takes place in our society affects our students and affects their learning and their functioning in a school environment and even at home. And so as we come together as a community from various sectors, we have the political representative here, and we have the community, the churches, and the school representative, is that it is our community, and we have to reclaim our community. And when we start to reclaim our communities, we then reclaim our country. It should be a place where students, children, everybody feels safe to go about, to go to school, to go about their business, to go to church, to do all manner of things. Is that we should be safe in what we are doing. One of the statistics that we find out of a research that some colleagues and I are doing within some schools is that one in five, every 1 in 5 students, they are disruptive because they don't have anybody to talk to. And there are always events or situations that take place. Now, just before the school year ended this year, with the Mandeville police, we interrupted about several suicide attempts with students who have different traumatic experiences. And I'm saying this because the shooting last week at the school gate, for us as adults, it might mean nothing. It might mean it's just another shooting. And it's just how Jamaica is. But for a student, it might be the first time they're experiencing something like that. And students or children respond in different ways. So their sensory mechanism will respond in different ways. So a child who was outspoken based on that traumatic event might now be withdrawn. A child who was withdrawn out of that traumatic event might now be outspoken and unable to sleep, having eating disorder, either they eat too much or they don't eat at any at all, and so on. So while we focus on the crime and violence in our community, I also want for us as parents, as stakeholders, to also remember that the child might be hurting as well and need some attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard very wise words that we need to really meditate on. Whatever he said about the children being very disruptive because they don't have anybody to talk to, we can attest to that. Because in the school, it is like a fight to have parents at psychosocial sessions, at PTA meeting. Some of these children, honestly, the only time they hear something positive or something good is when they come to school. It is alarming the way some parents reprimand or discipline their children. And so we are saying we have to make the effort to really, really talk to some of these parents, because to have a 19-year-old boy ending up on the police's most wanted list, something has gone wrong in the family, because the family is the first school.
That's sticking.
And so no parent got a guidebook as to how to bring children up. And sometimes because of the economic problems, parents have to leave early to go to work. Many times children are left on their own. Children are left to grow children. And so we have a lot of difficulties. So as the people who really, really have the interest of these children at heart, we have to reach out to each other. We have to help to educate the parents so that they can in turn help their children. I now call to address you, Mr. Paul Patmore from the South Suburban constituency.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, family and friends. I'm here to greet you from South Trelawney and to let you know that you have our support when it comes to peace. I know that I have to be here because Christiana is our main town when it comes to Larmas division and Warsaw division. All the persons shop in Christiana. And whatever is happening over in Christiana, it affects us over in South Trelawney. And it's a bit closer to us because one of the young men that died, that got shot, is from our own community of Larmas over in South Trelawney. He just came over the border to get something, and then he was killed over on the border. So I can tell you that even it might feel like a Northeast Manchester event, but I think it's more a South Trelawney event. So it's more closer to us, and I can tell you that both his parents are very close to me and my family. So it's really touched my heart. One of the incidents that happened at the bar, that the person that runs that bar is my very good friend. And I can just tell you that you might see violence and it affects. It's not just the family that it's affected. It affects the entire business community. You know, and it really touch my heart. And one other thing that I'm in my community campaigning on now is better parenting. And I get a little flag not too long ago when I speak on why our parents cannot speak to our children and reprimand our children is because of some of the wrongs that they see we doing on a daily basis. And I draw one example of just stealing light, electricity. And you might have a 10-year-old in your house, and every evening that 10-year-old watch you take the wire and hang up on the GPS line. When that child reaches 16, you won't be able to tell that child that scamming is wrong or gun violence is wrong. So I want to say to our parents, start checking yourself. I can tell you that as a nation, I think we'll lose an entire generation right now. And it's frightening, but those kids that are born in from the 2000 come up, I don't know what we're going to do, but we have to try our best to save some of them. But we have to start from those 4-year-old coming up right around 12. We have to try to start to set a better example for them as parents. And in Jamaica that we want to see, let it begin with us. Every individual will have to start from Paul Patmore, you have to start from Mr. Wind, you have to start within us. And not until we as politicians can stand up on the political platform and say, if you're a good man, you cannot be a part of my campaign. We will never, ever see a better Jamaica. That's why please, all this, and I'm here to support you, come with me, in whatsoever Northeast Manchester again. Have our support from over and South Trelawney. May God bless you.
Okay, community members, you have heard from a businessman, politician. All right, so the violence, the killings, it affects the business community just as how it affects the family. I'm going to ask the gentleman sitting at the back, I'm not sure of your name, can you just stand and introduce yourself to us and just tell us how are you feeling at this time? How do you feel about what has been happening in Christiana?
Well, I'm a very proud Christian. My name is Henry Jones.
Yes.
I'm living in Mandeville. Close to the southern crime. No one can be happy about crime. As was said earlier on, takes away everything. business activities, and your personal feelings. So, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Christiana was known for its coolness and its how quiet it used to be. And we don't really like when our names are in the media for the wrong things. And that is why you were called here this afternoon to tell us exactly what we are supposed to do to get back our peaceful community. All right? I'll ask this gentleman in the red just to give us a little synopsis of how you're feeling. I know you do business in Christiana, you live close to Christiana. Just tell us what you're feeling at this time.
Good afternoon, everybody. Pastor Delman White is the name. And I'm happy for this opportunity to be able to share with us this afternoon and this peace initiative. Indeed, crime and violence is nothing that anybody really wants or would want to embrace. And the truth is, the crime and violence is affecting every strata of life. You know, it impacts so much on the church, for example, because once upon a time, as a church community, you could have your night services, you could have your Bible studies, you could have your committee meetings, your board meetings, and all of that. And people feel free to come out and to support all these things because of the crime and violence in and around the community and the nation at large. People are scared. So therefore, when you call these meetings, you find people not readily willing to come out to support them. So because of that, the church community is on the decline. The community itself that you live in or you serve in, you know, people are just scared, and you know, even the business community. Once upon a time, you would see like you're going through a community, you see shops open and people up and down, men around playing their dominoes in the evenings and enjoying their evening sports. Nowadays, as 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, everybody have to be closing up and rushing home because they're scared as to what is happening or what might happen. So it affects the business, it affects the church, it affects the school. When we look at, you know, the incident here just outside the school gate the other day with this killing right in front of the children. The children were so traumatized. One of the child that lives in my district, the next morning, the mother couldn't get him to come out for school. He was so scared and traumatized. So, you know, crime and violence affects just about everything. So I really want to laud the organizer of this community peace initiative and peace talk to see at least how we can sit as a community and as a nation and as a people and get suggestion as to how we can go forward in terms of peace. Thank you very much.
Good evening, okay, we're going to say to these violence producers that the violence is not welcome here. We now accept it, it's not welcome. So our voices, we are not going to sit by and let a few people ruin our peaceful communities. No form of socialization anymore, as you would have heard, because people are even afraid of their own selves, even in their houses. You burglar bar up yourself so till if there's a little fire, you perish in there. You understand? And we as a country, we start from here to send the message out. The violence is not welcome among us. Alright? So, welcome to the people who joined late. Thanks for coming, we know because of the weather. Better late than never. And my mother always say, you know, don't watch your size at the market, but the sea you watch. Alright? So, whether we are big in numbers or small in numbers, we are going to get the message out there. And we're not going to stop at today, which is going to be a continuous message. So we're not going to be like no bamboo fire, we just blaze up and out. So we are going to take it one day at a time. Alright, I now call on the councillor from the Wallerston division. So we heard from the business community, we heard from the church. Now we are going to the politician, businessman as well. The councillor of the Wallerston division, Councillor David Knight, will now address you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I must say how happy I am to be here to share in this peace initiative with Christiana. Just to let you know that my division is next door to Christiana. It is a division that does not have a police station. It's a division that does not have a market. It's a division that does not have a health center in it. It's a division that does not have a high school. And so you would understand how close we have to work together. And so we have a population in the Wollaston division of about 9,500 voters. We have 34 communities, and all of these communities depend on the town of Christiana to do business, to go to school, for health care, and to seek help from the police. And so it is very heartrending to know that this little town that I go to school here become this kind of a place where we are on the news and for bad things. I remember the days when I used to walk from Cobbler to Christiana to school. And not only that, I could stretch my hand out to anybody that is passing and beg a ride. And they would willingly give me a ride. Now, I own a vehicle and I can hardly give somebody a ride nowadays. Those things are of the past. So even if you have good intention, because you don't know who you are dealing with, you try to be safe. And when I look in the room, I was wondering if it was a man talk. Because for a very long time, I have been to a function where we have more men than women. And it tells us something, because as men, we have to lead from the front.
Yes, sir.
We have families, and we have to lead our families from the front. And the examples that our boys are looking for, it is in us as men. And so I am calling upon everyone that is here and in the media, as men, let us stand up and take responsibility for our community. Let us stand up and lead from the front. It is hard to know that we have to be burying our children. Great-grandmothers are burying their great-grandchildren because of crime and violence. People are living longer nowadays, but the young people believe that, boy, them not come to stay. So them get involved in all kind of things, and before you know it, the good young man in your community, him just gone. We lost so many of our young people because of crime and violence. And we would also say that, boy, they are good boy and good girl. But what is happening is not, it don't just start here. I'm a churchman, and what I've observed is that parents who go to church, they leave their children at home, say them have homework, and go to church. So we no longer believe in even Sunday school. When I was growing up, my parents would come to church late, but I have to be in church from early because they ready us and set us up. Fathers, I am asking you to go back to the place. The Bible says that we must seek for the whole landmark, and when we have found it, we must walk therein. We cannot continue on this journey because we want Christiana to be the place that it used to be. We want to raise our family, we want to do business, and we want to live happily ever after in this little town. And so, in the near future, our division is coming on with a program, and the program is going to be named Tell It to Uncle D. I want to be the informer for my division. So anything that is happening over in Wallaston, tell it to Uncle D. We'll be having a hotline where we will be calling, people will be calling the hotline to tell us the illegal activities that is taking place in the division. Because I don't want Wallaston to come like any other community that we're afraid to go and live and to do business in. When it comes on to our health care, it's very important. And in our division, we don't have a health center. So you see, we have to come to the health center in Christiana for help. And can you imagine Christiana get so bad that Wallaston can't come? What is going to happen to our people? They are going to die. We cannot afford that. Ladies and gentlemen, let us pull together. Let us hold hands together. Let us be our brother's keeper. Let us be our neighbor's friend. Gone are the days where the village raised a child. We need to go back to the time where the village raised a child. Because right now, in closing, we are living, we have two Jamaica. We have the old Jamaica, where everybody look out for each other. Now we have the new Jamaica, where nobody knows business with one another. We can't live like that, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm looking forward for the day when there will be no murders committed in Christiana, in Manchester, and in South Trinidad. I'm looking for the day when we can be our brother's keeper. May God bless you, and may God bless you.
Okay, let me take this opportunity to welcome the security force. JCF, out there. Okay, so after Councillor Evans from the Christiana Division speaks, then the police will address us. I want you to put your hands together for the police. You know, many times they are beaten upon. And some of us behave as if they're not somebody. And somebody beat me there. Any little thing happens, we just ready to dash out from it. But when anything happens, they're the first persons who we run to. Let us embrace the security forces. Right? So when we are asleep, they are out there. A guard we back. Alright? So let us show some respect to them. Before Councillor Evans of the Christiana Division comes, I would just like to ask this young lady here just to quickly tell us how you felt when you came and what are you feeling now?
Alright, well, good afternoon. afternoon, everybody. Well, my name is Nigeria Hale, and I'm one of the people who was disheartened by what had happened in the area. So many murders in rapid succession. It wasn't easy to hear because I grew up here and nothing like that was ever happening. I said on our post. So I was actually waiting to hear about some kind of gathering or something that all of us could come together and kind of support the ones who lost loved ones. And I heard about this, and I'm happy that our councillors and our MP candidates and our business people came together to kind of address people like me who are a bit scared, because stuff like that just kind of make you scared. So I feel better now. I have to say I didn't feel so good, but I feel a little better being in this meeting. So once again, thank you, and that's it from me. I have a question. Yes. As a university student, you're graduating from university, right? You grew up here. Would you want to stay in Christiana? At this point, would you move back here? I mean, I love Christiana. Can I just start with that before I give my answer? I love Christiana. I really love Christiana and Spalding's the surrounding area, but there is no nightlife. I know this is a very serious matter we're discussing, but there is no nightlife here. I cannot have a business meeting, where we have a drink. I can invite my people here. So, thank you, Mr. Evans. So it seems very, I guess, like a play thing. But I would love. That's one of the things that would encourage me to stay in Christiana. A nightlife.
Because as the saying goes, when you work hard. When you play hard. And for hard-working people, they need something in the night. Yes, it is needed, whether we know it or not. And at one point, the ministry or some people did say they cut out playing out of school. Or if they cut out playing out of school, you have the children sitting in front of you. Poor picnic them, some of them wake up on 4:30, 5 o'clock, then come a morning class, and by morning class done, teacher keep them in a class, and they don't go out to break, and they don't go hurt themselves. Lunchtime they eat inside, and it's just the children play. When they go home, mommy show them in a one corner with one tablet. I don't even know what them are watching on the tablet. And so the children's young lives are taken away from them. Just like how we need to laugh, so that we do the exercise so that we remain young and fit. We need the nightlife too. Every good worker or hard worker deserves a good drink.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So I'm sure that your counselor is going to be working on that. Alright, so Councillor Evans.
Friends, friends, all good evening. Thank you for coming out. It is only fair that if we hurt together, we come together to heal. This is close to me. Reason being is that 5 years ago, in Sleepy Limit, on a Monday, 7 o'clock, there was a triple murder at my parents' business place. My cousin died on the spot, and we lost 2 persons in succession in the hospital after that. Something is growing in Manchester. Something is brewing in Christianity. This something of what I'm speaking is the same something that caused 2 murders 1 day apart. Not even the child is spared. Christiana cannot continue like this. It cannot continue. 6 months as counselor, and this is how I am rewarded. My sleepy Christiana. has always been known to be calm and cool. They say for the newlywed and nearly dead. Here the young lady said we don't have any light life. Christiana is always cool and calm. And apart from the psychological damage that Dr. Parbeck talked about that's happening to our children, nobody thinks about what would happen to the local economy. You spoke about how important it is to Wallaston. Paul Patmore spoke about how important Christiana is to South Sri Lanka. Remember, if we have lockdowns in consecutive, church people won't get to go out. You won't know, funerals can't keep, dead yard can't keep, candlelight can't keep, right? We have night market, we depend on the markets, we have night markets. Everybody knows about night markets. That will be cut out. Right? The young lady said we don't have no nightlife. Well, the truth is, we have a very vibrant nightlife. It's just that it's not as upscale as Kingston. And people depend on it to survive here. We have a very thriving bar culture here. And round robins and so forth. Right? So, you have to think about what the scourge of violence will really do to Christiana. As a counselor, I can tell you, my godson died in an accident on Monday. And then to have this happen in Christiana town right after that, I was like, what is this? What is this? I stand behind Mr. Abbott and the staff and the children of this noble institution. This is where we have our meetings, and it's always made us to us. And it's really hard to fathom that a killing, the person brought his child to school, and that is what happened to him. Remember, Manchester is the nicest place in Jamaica. Really and truly, Christiana is the nicest place in Manchester. This is true. This is where I choose to live, raise my family, and do business. And nobody not going to make me run away from Christian. Alright? What can be said to also is that if you are here right now, if you are online, if you are listening, you have already started to play your part. I am not here to give any instructions. The police will talk about that. We know morally what is right from wrong. Let it begin here. Let it begin with us. And as small as stealing light, anything blossoms. Let us take back Christiana. We have some time here. I have another 4 years, three and a half years here. And I vow to do my best to at least leave it where I got it. Right? It was not a violent town. And with Valwin by my side, I know it will be done. God bless Jamaica. God bless Christiana.
I'd just like to, at this time, invite the members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force just to enter the room. We know that Inspector is not here as yet. We're not calling them to speak. We're just calling, it's just for us to applaud and to say thanks for being here with us. You're not going to talk. We're not going to have you talk. We just want to applaud you. Sir? Our officers are shy. Shy. Just step inside, officers, and let us applaud them. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching over us, and just as how you watch over us, we are going to watch over you as well. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so I now call on in some quarters they call him the big man in the place. gentleman is one of the strongest members of the People's National Party. He stands up for what is right. He stands up for justice. And we know whenever he stands to speak, we don't have to fret. We don't have to worry because we know him not apologize. Because whatever he says, so it go. So put your hands together to welcome Senator Bunting, the opposition party.
Thank you, Chairperson Barrett, the councillors, MPs in waiting, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I want to start first of all by extending my sympathies to the community for the loss of life, and the school community in particular for what must have been very traumatic for all the children in particular, but their parents, the entire community. And you know, just to back up what Reverend Paul was saying about the long-term impact of this trauma. I recall coming across a case.
Excuse me, they're not getting me online, they're asking you to project a little bit more.
Well, we're streaming from.
Several places.
All right, I'll try and put down a platform voice so that I'll be a little more audible. But I remember reading a story about, and this was here, it was in the apartheid era in South Africa. And there was a community called Soweto. And it was in many ways on the front line of the battle. And there was a very brutal treatment that was given to informers and spies for the apartheid regime. It was called necklacing. And basically what that meant, they would take a tire and put over the upper body, douse it with gasoline and light it. And it was awful, but what was perhaps equally terrible was that social workers in that community came across a group of children who were playing. And what were they doing when they were playing? They were imitating necklacing. They caught a cat and took a tube, an inner tube, and tied up the cat. And were in the process of lighting the cat. They had become so inoculated against violence that, you know, they had become hardened, it had become commonplace, and it was now a form of play. And what the epidemiologists tell you, those who take a sort of a public health approach to violence or violence prevention, they tell you that one of the early indicators of communities that are having problems, one of the lead indicators of communities that we have all sorts of problems, violence problems, mental health issues, and so on, is when they start finding, is when the garbage collection people, when the sanitation workers start finding abused animals in community, whether, you know, pets, cats, dogs, whatever. That is in fact an early indicator. And I say that really as setting a context that when we look at crime statistics, the crime statistics are really an outcome of a society that is dysfunctional. So we should think of crime as, in a way, the flames that are burning. But if you want to address it, it's not just about outing the flames. You have to cut off the fuel to the fire, the fuel that's causing the fire. You just imagine if a gas pump is left running at a gas station and that fuel catches fire down the road. It's very unlikely you're going to be successful in putting it out until you cut off the pumps, right? And so, what I want to talk to you about today is about looking at perhaps some of the causes. And I want to start because I believe that we must be data driven. So I want to start by just sharing the latest major crimes overview for Manchester. And this is year to date up to September 10th, which was yesterday. So, murder is up 31%. 31%, 2024 relative to 2023, year to date, to September 3rd. 31%. Shooting is up 25% in Manchester, year to date. Now, I want you to compare this with what is happening in the rest of Jamaica. On average, murder is down 16% and shooting is down 3%. So it's not just the absolute numbers, but relative to the rest of Jamaica, something is happening here that is causing a relative deterioration relative to even the rest of Jamaica. In fact, when you look at the increase in murder, it is number 2 of all the police divisions in Jamaica. Only St. Andrews Central is higher than Manchester. Only St. Andrews Central in terms of the increase, and in terms of the absolute numbers, but in terms of the growth relative to last year. And since I've been, both when I was minister and as shadow minister, I often graph the violent crimes, murders in particular, by police division or by parish. And for most of the time I've been doing it since 2008, end of 2008. Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Portland, on a per 100,000 basis. Because in order to compare a parish like Manchester with a much more populous parish like St. Catherine, you have to put it on a common denominator per 100,000. Manchester, Portland, St. Elizabeth were always at the bottom, at the lowest level per 100,000. Excuse me. In fact, for the 3 terms that I was MP in central Manchester, I used to use the relatively low violent crime rate, murder and shooting, to attract investors. So I go to people like Sutherland Global, and when I persuaded them to come to Ward Avenue initially, and then they later opened a second thing, one of the selling points was we have one of the lowest violent crime rates. Similarly, when I was encouraging people to move to Mandeville, I would say, look man, yes, we got the same complaint that it's your place. Boy, the things are quiet. You know, that was the young people who just leave university, especially the ones who went to university in Kingston, would come back and say, the only thing we had a problem with was the nightlife wasn't as exciting as they had maybe become accustomed to. But in terms of the quality of the schools for the children, in terms of the overall environment, and the reason why it was a great place for the newlywed, it was because it was a great place to raise children. It was a great place to raise children. But something has happened. Something has happened, and it is beginning to accelerate. The deterioration is beginning to accelerate. If the rest of the country is going one way, we are going the other way. By far. Because a 31% growth relative to a 16% decline is really almost a 50% swing in terms of direction, right? So what is it? What is it that is taking root? I've noticed, there are some things that politicians are very careful. They cannot dance around it. And I want to congratulate my colleague from Trelawney, because he took it on frontally. He says, if you're going, turn a blind eye to thieving, buy whatever you call it, whether it is thieving electricity, licking down somebody on the road and taking away their goods, scamming, whatever it is, money laundering. If you turn a blind eye to that, it is just a matter of time. If you sow the wind, you will reap the whirlwind, right? And I think part of what we're seeing now is that reaping of the whirlwind. I ask people, why does greater mandible, I use that term, everything from probably Williamsfield coming through to Spur Tree. Just let's call that greater mandible. Why have more car lot than anywhere in Jamaica? Why does greater mandible have more car lot? More every time you see a little piece of land clearing. You can guess it's a car lot. 99% of the time, you're going to be right. Why is it that greater mandible is the center for used car sales in Jamaica? I think we have more car lots than Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, St. James, anywhere to Europe. Why do you think that is? Well, I'm going to leave that part because I don't want to generalize, because sometimes when you generalize, you can paint legitimate business persons in the wrong light. So I never like to do anything that paints everybody, because you can have legitimate business people in a particular line of business, and they suddenly find themselves struggling to compete with the illegitimate ones, right? So you have to be careful when you paint everybody with the same brush. But in there, as I said, not everybody, but there are legitimate people who have been in business a long time and have good reputation. But a lot of money laundering is involved. A lot of money laundering is involved. Illicit funds, whether from scamming, drug dealing, whatever, is being laundered through many of these lots. And the police know it. And the police know it. It's not a secret. I'm not revealing anything that is not well known. Right? Scamming has become ubiquitous in Manchester. Every little community now. I mean, quiet up in the Belfield Hills, in South Manchester, in Northeast Manchester. I don't think there's anywhere that have phone signal that just somebody not tapping the line or whatever they want, euphemism they want to talk. And invariably, some people say, well, they're ambivalent about it, because there's so much money that runs through that people are afraid. Politicians are afraid to speak out about it, because They say, boy, if all of that money turned against me in an election, then dog now mess up. But there are a few courageous politicians, including the one sitting up here today, who are not afraid to speak truth. Speak truth to power, wherever that power may be. It may be power in terms of government, it may be power in terms of criminal organizations, it may be power in terms of political party hierarchy. But you cannot, to my mind, be a genuine politician who want to improve the quality of life of people and be afraid to speak truth to power. So this evening I am speaking truth to power here. And I want us to go back to where I started. The statistics are an outcome of failures at a lot of levels. Probably the first level of failure is the family. Because if our children are not properly socialized at the home, they're going to be more vulnerable. If they don't have a responsible father in their lives, they're going to be more vulnerable. I mean, there is a term they use called paternal deprivation, which means that a child without a regular father figure in their lives, they're 5 times more likely to come into conflict with the law. They're something like 8 or 9 times more likely to join a gang and get involved in criminal activity. So the family is the first place. Second place is the school, because in the past a lot of socialization that didn't take place in the family was compensated for in the schools, because you had teachers who took on that role and said, boy, I'm not abandoning the child because he's a bad picnic or whatever, and put out that effort to ensure that they brought them back into the straight and narrow. Well, the teachers who do that are the teachers who are really committed. Unfortunately, we're losing those teachers in droves now. Hundreds of them every year. And it's not because they don't care, but they have to look out for their own families too. And if they see the opportunity, I'm not going to judge them, because all of us, first responsibility is to our own family. And then we expand out from there. The community has a role as well. The community has a role as well. I used to, as a little boy, worry anyhow, auntie, uncle, neighbor, anybody here, you didn't even have to reach back to your parents. Once they know that you're involved in anything, you're in trouble. Even mommy and daddy gone away, uncle, aunt, neighbor, somebody will make sure you pay the price if you get punished for it. So there was a wider community involvement. Nowadays, people afraid. If you go talk to somebody picking next thing you know, the parents come back and want to chop you up and whatever. Councillor for Wallaston said, no, even if you want to, if somebody a drive, sometimes you have to stop and think hard. Do I really want to take that risk? But when I was a younger man, I used to exercise every morning. I used to be up in rural Jackshill. And I used to go to the Mona Dam every morning to run. I used to leave 5:30 in the morning, it's dark. And I wouldn't pass nobody on the road. I pick up anybody I see. Man, woman, child, who walking down the road, because I know it's a long walk to the bus. And I pick them up and I have a car load by the time I reach either Jackson or if I drive the Popine way. And today, I tell you the honest truth, I would have really have to check myself and say, you're really in the right mind. Because, the society has reached a stage where you can't just easily take the risk. You have responsibilities to your own family again. Our healthcare, a lot of work has been done by people like Freddie Hickey former senior medical officer, noted psychiatrist, that a lot of our violent crimes come from people with mental health issues. And we don't have screening for that regularly in our communities. Very few people actually get the adequate attention as needed. So we can almost go right through every ministry and say, local government, the state of our communities, the criminologists talk about criminogenic environments. If you live in a community where garbage is not being collected, where the infrastructure is dilapidated, where you have failing schools, where you have the only type of policing you see is look like the paramilitary policing where people come in and scrape up all the youth and throw them in a truck park. If you live in that environment, chances are your exposure to violent crime is much higher.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the point I'm really making is that if we want to stop this slide that we see happening in Christiana and more widely in Manchester, we have to be very deliberate. If we think we can just leave, this is a police problem, and we just leave it to the police, then we have failed. It is a problem for leadership at all levels. Political leadership, business leadership, church leadership, school leadership. If you have citizen associations or CDCs, it is going to take a united approach to change the whole environment. Because you can't just change 1 point. Don't think if you send 3 more police cars to the Christiana police station, that by itself is going to ensure. Yes, they might reach the crime scene a little quicker, but they could never, with a policing area the size of Christiana, which covers out Walderston, etc., be able to patrol at such regularity, to be able to saturate the areas to prevent crime from happening. So I'm here, I'm supporting the leadership that invited me to come. I'm here, a Manchester man, supporting the community. And any questions that you may have or any points that you might want me to elucidate, I'll be happy to do it during the question and answer period. Thank you.
Okay, so we're getting there. If you need to jot down your question or your suggestion, please do so that you don't forget. Remember, this gentleman is a lawmaker, so he helps in that aspect. So whatever you want to see happen in Christiana, Manchester, or wherever in Jamaica, we are one Jamaica. Just jot it down, put it to him, and then know that if it is to get anywhere, he will take it there. Another round of applause Okay, do I have 2 more persons who would just like to say how you felt before you came and what you're feeling now? Just one sentence. You feel good when you come and you still feel good? I don't think that is true. When the crime then did happen, how you feel now? Do you think anything can happen to change what is happening? Right, so how you feel before you come and how you feel now, and I'm going to ask the lady at the back just to give us, a little thing, any suggestion, any little thing that you want to say about your feelings and so. Yes. So you can just introduce yourself, tell us which community you're from,
Okay.
and tell us your feelings.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Tatiana Cook. I'm from Kabla, Walderston Division. Coming here today, I really felt heartbroken. Reason being, I'm a past student of the Christiana Primary School. Also, the gentleman that passed off the other day, that's my past classmate. So coming down, I felt broken, knowing we're the same age and he has so much life ahead of him, and just reflecting, walking into the school, I just can't imagine how traumatized the kids here are, and I'll do everything in my power to help them, maybe come console them, have a talk with the teachers, because I did a bachelor in psychology, so I'll do everything that I can do to just give a helping hand to the community and to the school.
Okay, so we have the resources right here among us. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. So, just jot down your question. We're going to have a question and answer period. But we have our final presenter, who is the man who is in charge of this little part, this little spot of ground. So he overrules the councillor. So he is the member of parliament in waiting to represent the People's National Party. So we would like to know what he has in store for Christiana Division and for the constituency and a whole, because you know, say, in the chain of things, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. Now, all the links are attached. So put your hands together.
My friends, good afternoon. Let me express my appreciation, to all of you for making the effort to be here this evening. You're indicating to me and to us here in Christiana that we are in the same boat. We're fighting for the same cause. We share the same interests, and we're pursuing the same goals. For those of us who travel from very far, a special thanks. I know Senator Bounty was all the way in Kingston, and he made the effort to be here with us this evening. Friends of our neighboring communities, Trelawney, thanks for being with us. The others from anywhere else in Manchester, anywhere else you're from. Good to see you. We decided to hold this forum because we think that what has happened in Christiana is very serious. Yes. We're not sitting back and accepting this change, this very negative change that we're seeing. We know that as citizens, we might not have all the solutions. We don't have even the power to catch the perpetrators. Not entirely. Certainly, we want to say thanks to the police for the effort that they have made over the period, the approach to minimize crime in these areas. But even if the police were to stand by each and every one of us, they would not be able to stop certain occurrences. They just couldn't. The police can't tell by themselves our intentions. And so it is, we want to seem as if we are giving them basket to carry water. Because this is certainly not a police problem alone. It's not the police problem alone. Senator Bunting made mention that when you don't have enough police in a particular area, and you have only the type of police where police go in and scrape up, then crime will escalate. And that is so true. So certainly we want to have more police around in all the communities. But when we get to a point, like here in Manchester, especially Northeast Manchester, where we see crime is escalating faster than the rest of the country, then we know it's time to take action. Our job as community members, and I think that's why you're here, is for us to find a solution, find a plan to prevent the escalation of crime. My grandmother always said to me, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And I think this is the approach we have to take. I listened to Mr. Backward when he made mention of the incidents of crime that we see with children committing, and parents sometimes see the committing crime in the presence of the children. Many times we see our little ones behaving in a particular way, a very deviant way, and we look at them and say, cutie. Yeah, man, cute. You know? Mother talk to the child and the child talk back to the mother. Mother trying to control the child and the child fighting back. This is where it begins. And we have to attack it from that level. We have to pick it in the bud. And in the schools, when the children leave home with the bad behavior that the parents tolerate and go to school, and the teachers try to bring them in line, they go back and complain to the parents, and the parents come back to fight off the teacher. We want to get back to a time in Jamaica where we empower the teachers to ensure that once you enter the school compound, you have to follow the rules, and I, the teacher, am in charge. I'm not asking for teachers to abuse children, don't get me wrong. And I'm sure no teacher has any intention to abuse any child. But we really need to have a level of control. It was Jesus Christ who said, suffer the little children to come unto me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. That means when you have a gathering of children, it should almost be sacred. And on sacred ground, you have to go with respect. When Moses went for the 10 Commandments, what did God say to him? Take off your shoes, because the place you're standing is holy ground. So we need to start making the school an institution that is sacred. We need to start looking at the homes as a sacred ground for bringing up our children. We cannot leave God out of it. We cannot leave principle out of it. We can't let the children rule the parents. And this is what is happening in society. A child who is not taught proper values, he will easily copy something that maybe, yes, he might get economic gain from, but it's something that is illegal. If that child is taught the narrow and right way to do things, he will not depart from that. Train up a child the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. I'm not here to preach to you, but this solution we have to find. We have to find the solution, yes. It might take divine intervention, yes. It might take divine intervention. We are here at a point where we have to take charge. When we see the deviants around us, let us not hesitate to inform the police when we see certain happenings around us. He may get away from us at a particular point, but we have to catch him back. We're at a point now in Northeast Manchester that whatever get away from us, because the child passed through the yard and the school without having certain kind of traits. We, the citizen, have to take it back. We have to catch it back. And the only way we can do that, we ourselves have to look around us and report deviant behavior. Things that seem like it is illegal, don't evaluate it yourself, report it to the police. Let them do the evaluation, let them do the investigation. Don't be afraid to do that. Because if we're afraid to do that, we'll not only see the statistics keep growing, but we may become a part of that statistic. So we have to be very, very serious about this. Now, despite the weather, you brave it and you're here. And I must say to you, and I want this to be absolutely clear, this was not a political meeting. We had no intention to make this a political forum. We invited everybody. Everybody. But you know, when you have a type of rain we had this evening, only those who are really committed will find themselves here. And whatever the cause why you're here, whether it's because it's just your religion, or is your school, or your community, or your political party, thank God you're here. Because you're here because you've proven that you want to be a part of the solution.
Yes.
So you know, my friends, we may have it in Northeast Manchester today. Tomorrow, it may be in South Trelawney. The day after, it may be someplace else in Manchester. Who knows South Manchester? Central Manchester? Or anywhere else we have to go to let our voices heard. Our voices must be heard. Because we are citizens. We are not going to sit back and allow crime to rob us of our peace. We won't allow crime to rob us of our economic activity. We won't allow crime to rob us of our children. So I want to say thank you all for coming. Indeed, I feel proud of you. The numbers might not be great, but I think we had a great forum.
Yes.
And I'm sure that the rest of Jamaica will be looking forward to the next one. Thank you.
Okay. So we're almost at the end. Do we have any questions? Any suggestions? Okay. Can just introduce yourself.
My name is Carol Ailes. I'm from Spalding. My suggestion, one of my suggestions is I was thinking very deep about the school situation. I think it should start at the school where the teacher would assess, because when you are in school, you usually kind of can see the troubled person, you know. So I think the teacher in the school there could look at those students, and the government also should have a branch where that teacher would recommend that student to get some help, because they usually can see early. I could see it in my kids very early. I can tell what they want to be. I can tell them that is a problem I have to deal with, right? So, so I think the teachers in school, once you send them to school, they can spot them.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the government really have to get involved there, where the teacher don't have to deal with that part there. The government would probably set up another branch where the students can go and get help.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
No.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. The school is perhaps the state institution that interfaces with almost every Jamaican at some point. At some point. There is hardly a community that don't have a primary school within close proximity, if not a high school, but at least a primary school. And the assessment, in fact, I recall when I was a minister, it was so predictable. Whenever I got a call that a child, usually high school, had committed a serious violent crime, in some cases murder, in some cases stabbing, what they call it, assault, etc. You could go to the school and get the record that was the school, that was the child rather, who had a history of problems of misbehavior, who had a history of parents or guardians never attending PTA meetings, never attending teacher-parent conferences, never, showing any clear interest in how that child was doing at school. And when you look at again, coming back to the public health approach, what we did when I was minister, I partnered with Minister Ronnie Tweets, who was Minister of Education at the time. And how it came home to my attention was when there was a study that the police did of inmates at Tower Street Correctional Center and which high schools they predominantly came from. And generally speaking, they would come from what you call a non-traditional high school. But there was one traditional high school which had a strong representation of inmates. And he said, what is happening? And when you look back, what you learned was that that high school expelled a lot of students. As soon as they had a troublemaker, they expel them. No longer the principal's problem, but it is now the community problem and the police problem, right? And so we agreed that we would stop that process. I mean, sometimes they had to, the child was so disruptive that they had to come out of that school. But at least find another school for them. Don't just expel them and they are on their own. 86% of the members dropped out of school by grade 9. 86% of them. So that means if you just stayed in school, forget what your passes are, but you just stayed in that structure of school until you were 18 or however old, your chances of ending up and becoming under the influence of gangs was much, much less.
But Mr. if I may, sorry, I'm sorry. You find that grade 9 is that's the grade where they kick you out of school. If you're underperforming, if you have a history.
Yeah, that's probably
that is right.
That's probably why this study
that's
showed
right.
that. So when we did the public health specialists and the psychologists and psychiatrists, what they said was that 85%, I think it was 85-90% of children only needed what they might call primary interventions in terms of socialization. And we introduced at the time something called the acronym was SWPBIS, School-Wide Positive Behavioral Intervention Support. And for 85 or 90% of the children, Lord man, turn off the phone, man. I'll walk outside and go beg some young person to show you how. You know?
Walk over the phone, Roddy.
Just confiscate that phone and phone.
Sir.
Roddy, you're not going to get it, man. It's my own words. Candice, put it on silent. So probably 85-90% only needed that sort of general positive behavioral intervention support. And there was another 5 to 10% that needed what they would call secondary intervention. They needed like you to assign a social worker because their family situation was so dysfunctional and they probably needed some financial support and so on to properly be able to function in the school environment. And then there was a small percentage, 1 or 2% that needed what we call tertiary support, like a higher level. They needed a psychologist or a psychiatrist because their issues were bigger than what the teacher or the social worker could do. But if the school is to play that role, the resources we put in the school have to be much more than what we do now. The priority we place on teachers has to be way up there because we're asking them to basically take on the role of socializing the society.
But they will not
And the teacher can be struggling in hand to mouth to figure out how them going to make them own car payment
The teacher
next
will look
month.
at them as a like a troublemaker.
Right.
And then, yeah, you understand?
So, no, what I'm saying is we have to elevate the position of teacher in the society. The countries that are getting the best outcome, the Finlands and these countries, their teachers are highly paid professionals. Until we start doing that to compete with the countries we're losing our teachers to, then you can't ask those teachers to play that role. So, coming back to show is a holistic approach. But you're hitting the nail on the head, because the school is the state institution that interfaces with almost every child at some point, every Jamaican at some point, and you can spot early where they're going off track, and that's perhaps the last chance to correct it.
And what happens to like school, girls, guys, all of those stuff.
Need to reintroduce those.
Things like that.
Again, any of those things that introduce structure, discipline, values, all of those are helpful. But again, how many schools today? I mean, there was a time when most of the traditional boys schools had cadet or this, that, very few have survived.
Good guys, etc. The school is indeed the agent of socialization. Because you see, in a home setting, you may have one or two children. You may have, probably a community, which is, normally much smaller than a school. But in the school, the child interfaces with children from various communities. So therefore, the culture can change. The culture of the school can change the child. So really, school teachers play an integral role in socializing our children.
Yeah, teachers are excited about teaching you because you can actually see the struggle in some of your teachers' faces with the school. How do I say it? You can see how hard it is for them as well. So they're not going to really stop and be excited about you being in cadets or you being in the brownies or whatever not, because they have their own issues, as Mr. Bunting had rightly stated. But I'm not even sure how we would get teachers excited other than money. More money.
More money may not be everything, but it is necessary.
Yes.
It is necessary. Because as I said, you can't be somebody struggling to survive themselves and to move and give that extra. I mean, I recall when I was going to school, there were teachers who didn't see a child come to school without lunch money. Go into them purse and say, you want to go buy a patty and whatnot. Yeah. But I mean, you can't get blood out of stone. So if you keep, you have to take care of the teachers.
Yes,
You want the teachers take care of the children.
Okay, do we have another?
Question. In your presentation, Senator Bunting, you made mention to a 30% increase. But what does that look in actual numbers?
In actual numbers, the connectivity here is slow. So let me just hide it out further. We'll have to go and search my email for it.
Good question, but we'll have to research it.
Okay, so Manchester, at this time last year in 2023, there were 29 murders year to date in 2023. And in 2024, there are 38 murders. So
Wow.
an increase by 9. And in terms of shootings, there were 24 at this time last year, and this year it's 30. So an increase of 6. So 31% increase in murders and 25% increase in shootings. Now, I'll tell you one other thing that you'll find is things like robberies and break-ins are going down nationally and including Manchester. But here's what the statistics don't tell you. When a break-in occurs, typically you might lose a laptop, computer, a phone, or a flat screen TV. Because the person who break in and pick up another sofa or bed. So it's small gadgets or appliances. And the value of that might be $100,000, let's say. Where the criminals are breaking in now is into your bank account. And they're stealing much bigger money, but that's not tracked in the police statistics. We know from the banks that over $1 billion is stolen from bank accounts every year. That's $1 billion Jamaican dollars. Over $1 billion US dollars, it is estimated, is stolen by scammers. $1 billion US dollars. So that gives you sometimes where break-ins are down, robberies are down. That's a petty amounts, petty reward. The big reward is in the cyber crime now and the scamming and that kind of thing in terms of the values that you're talking about. Think of $1 billion. Just imagine $1 billion US dollars. It's 150 billion, 158 billion Jamaican dollars. That is probably bigger than agriculture. You know, probably one or two sectors, maybe tourism, and one or two sectors that might be bigger than that. So it's a huge amount of illicit money going into the hands of criminals or criminal organizations and resulting in a lot of this violent crime. Because what happens is, you might say, well, the scammer working on the phone, he's trapping the line, he never comes into contact with the victim. But they've specialized the scamming now, so the person who provided lead list don't get him share out of the proceeds. Then war. Or the bad man in the community see this little boy now start drive fancy car and don't have no visible means of income, but I live big life, build up big house, and so then him say, all right, well, him know where him again, so him start pressure him and starting, I forget my share. Then him now get somebody to protect him, and before too long, that's where the murders start. Murder, reprisal, counter reprisal.
Okay. So indeed we have had a whole mouthful, but Senator Bunting, I don't know. As an educator, it is really difficult. And when your party forms the next government, I would hope that you guys put something in place for parents. We have to teach some parenting now. Because what we're seeing happening is as a result of poor parenting. No longer are parents interested in coming to PT. Just as Mommy said here, you have a child and you can see from early if something is wrong with the child. You find out, you recommend that the child be tested. Parents are in denial. And so, from grade 1, they go from grade 1 right through to grade 6. And when they do the PEP, well, 4 types of PEP, for grade 4, grade 5, grade 6. Poor people, they get frustrated, they can't manage. We have the parents sitting down, not take it, just in denial, because you know what your neighbor knows say this is wrong. You even recommend, because children learn at different ages and stages. You make a recommendation that the child repeats from as early as grade 1, and it is hell and powder house. I don't want my child to repeat. I will help the child. What were you doing this whole year? Why you didn't help the child? How are you going to be able to help the child through 2 years now? You spot it from grade 1, you know. Sometimes the children are young, their brain not developed yet, especially boys. So we know that they learn at different stages. Sometimes when it is time for them to leave grade 1, and I pick on grade 1, because if the foundation is not strong, then you can't do anything, right? So at the end of June, July, you realize that the child is not mastering grade 1, right? And you call in the parent and you say, okay, mommy, I think it would be best for the child to repeat. And parent is going to tell you, no, I don't want them to repeat. I will spend the extra time with them and have them. I think some form of, I don't know if I'm to even say punishment. Something must happen to some of the parents. They are not involved in the children's life, but you spot the difficulty and you tell them, they are in denial. They not carry them because your pick me go, your people are going to say your pick me go a mad school. Which school is mad?
Chairman,
Yes.
I do believe that the discussion here was healthy.
Yes.
We want to thank you.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that we put together some kind of commission,
Yes.
Senator Bunty, to deal with social engineering. You know, social re-engineering. The fact is, we have to put these ideas together and we have to bring them to a point where we can use the ideas to be a part of the solution to the crime problem we have, especially the violent crimes. So I believe that the process has begun and we are looking forward, sir, for you in your capacity as shadow spokesman of security. And we know the likelihood of being the Minister of National Security to bring about this group, not just here in Christiana, but across Jamaica, where we can put the ideas together so we can solve the problem at the root of the problem. Thank you. It was good.
Before you go, Senator President, the Vice Chair of the Manchester Patriots. So thank you. We actually have 5 Manchester Patriots members here. 1, 2, 3.
Experts. All right, dear peace march and respected political representative, it is with immense gratitude that I stand before you today to express our heartfelt appreciation for your efforts in this significant peace march. First to the peace marchers, thank you for your unwavering commitment. Despite the rain, you came out and we stood united. Your presence here today is a powerful reminder that the pursuit of peace is not merely an abstract idea, but a shared responsibility that requires courage, dedication, and hope. Your steps have echoed with the voice of countless people yearning for a more peaceful world. We honor your sacrifice and resilience. To our political representative, thank you for standing with us today, for lending your voice to this noble cause, and for recognizing the vital importance in our communities. Your support is critical, and your dedication to working together for a peaceful future is needed. In closing, I want to express our deepest gratitude to everyone present. To our constabulary members, thank you for showing up. Your presence means a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so we just end with our...
Let us stand for the national anthem. National anthem. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil past. Be our light through countless hours. To our leader. having a health fair tomorrow up at Rice. And we're going to be testing, where the doctors will be testing eyesight and possibly helping with glasses. So those who have them kind of problems, find yourself at Rice Primary School tomorrow. And they will be testing for cervical cancer and prostate and all of those things. So men, don't be afraid. Head up here, and women, head up here.
So people there, thanks for watching, thanks for sharing. He's stuck. So people there have it, so thank you all for watching, alright? Yeah. Please share the live, And remember, you can always watch it back on Last Sonic Radio YouTube channel, alright? Thank you. Thank you to all the people who comment, who keep the comment section active. Thank you all. Till next time again, wow, good.
If I do walk, we are go on the Sinai. They say, oh, holy, holy, oh, holy, holy, oh, holy, 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 oh, holy Mount Sinai.
I'm here to listen to the evangelist, the DJ, weekend and weekdays, RG7, more bass and lecture, black style and a muscle.
If I do walk, we are go on the Sinai. If I do walk, we are go on the Sinai. They say, oh, holy, holy, oh, holy, holy, oh, holy, 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 oh, holy Mount Sinai. Hi, if I 3 o'clock, we are go on the Sinai. Box on your if I 4 o'clock, we are go on. They say, oh, holy, holy, oh, holy, holy, oh, holy, 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 oh, ele man, ele le le le, 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 ele le le. I beg your boss for your neighbor, I beg your boss for your neighbor, I beg your boss for your neighbor. I beg your box 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 for your neighbor. I am dying, oh Lord, Lord Jesus. I am dying, oh. Are you ready? I know. I am dying, oh. I am here, I call Lord Jesus. Send me. Hey, hear me good now. I want the people give up on we, you know. And say you see all like me, come on you too. All like you that amount to nothing. But guess what? You see one of them, just tell somebody say don't that shit with man. Cause you know what? A Christ make with the head and cornerstone. Hey, let me talk to you.
Do you see that stone? Do you see that stone?
Yeah,
do you see that stone that the builder refused?
The same very stone.
Now it has become.
Guess what?
Now it has become.
My God.
Now it has become the head of the corner. I am like that stone. I am like that stone.
Just like that stone.
I am like that stone that the builder
me. Chat a man a feel those things against me. Try condemn me from me a baby. I pass them judgment and they know me no guilty. They try to limit me mental capacity and underestimate me physical ability, but spiritually not they suffer when they see me legacy. Go tell them you see reality, man a royalty. They bless enough and then gravel in a mad quarry. Now me make me share for me testimony.
Do you see that stone? Do you see that stone?
That stone, that stone.
Do you see that stone that the builder refused?
Look at it now.
Now it has become. Now it has become.
Good
Now
Lord.
it has become the head of the corner.
The head of the
I
corner.
am like that stone.
That stone.
I am like that stone.
Just like that stone.
I am like that stone that the builder refused. Now I have become.
Now I have become.
Now I have become.
Now I have become.
Now I have become the head of the corner.
Them say, I like you will never amount to nothing and you will never bear fruit. You must remain barren and treat you like an outcast. You could not fit in with the sarcastic comments that dampen your self-esteem. They tell you how you're worthless, say you how you're worthless. I say you never make it, say you never make it. You carry water in a basket, water in a basket. The whole of them vex when them see your asset. Things change, it to come out as sing. And we are fly around the world and we don't growing. Remember that have a better standard of living. I will never forget to pay my tithe and offering.
You see that stone?
That same very stone.
You see that stone that the builder refused?
That stone they put it on.
Now it has become.
That's not a use.
Now it has become.
But Calvin,
Now it has become
which stone become
the
head?
head of the corner.
Everybody sing along.
I am like that stone.
I am like
that stone.
Just like
the builder refused.
No, I have become.
Now I have become.
Hey,
Now I have become.
to God be the
Now I
glory.
have become the
Hey,
head of the corner.
just look at me now. Oh, enough of them give up on we. Do under she well, them one no them no take it that she way. Do under she well. Enough of them give up on we. Do under she well, them one no them no take it that she way. Do under she well, say one no them no take it that she way. Do under she well, say one no them no take it that she way. Do under she well, here at table writing. Do under she well, so one no them no take it that she way. Do under she well, enough of them just for me. Do under she well, so one no them no take it that she way. Do under she well, say one no them no take it that she way. Do under she well, say one no them no take it that she way. Do under she well, enough of them give up on we. Do under she well, enough of them give up on we. Do under she well, enough of them give up on we.
You see that stone? You see that stone that the builder refused?
Spread it from the beginning. Say one no them no take it that she way.
Now it has
Enough of
become.
them give up on we.
Now it
Say
has
one no
become.
them no take it that she way. See me now, look how symmetry respect pretty. You me one no them no take it that she way. Do under she way. Enough of them give up on me. Do under she way. Enough of them give up on we. Do under she way. Them one no them no take it that she way. Do under she way. Enough of them give up on we. Do under she way. Them one no them no take it that she way. Do under she way. Say one no them no take it that she way. Do under she way. Say one no them no take it that she way. Do under she way. Jehovah Jireh, you're my provider. You're not gonna make king out of it for hunger. Oh, yes, Calvin, if I have a piece of bread and butter and some sugar and water, you're not dead for hunger. Sometime you will lobster, and then I'll tell you. I say you are Jehovah Jireh, you are my provider. You are Jehovah Jireh, you are my provider. Lord, you provide for me. Oh, Jesus, provide for me. Lord, you provide for me. My Jesus, provide for me. You bless the flowers of the field, and you bless the birds of the air. You bless me from my soul and my feet, Lord, to everything in is trying to be here. You sort out my life, you make a level like the clean up there. And from me give you my life, me say King Arthur, me gone clear. Because you are Jehovah Jireh, you are my provider. You are Jehovah Jireh, you are my provider. I say you are Jehovah Jireh,
just like something in my feed me with bread. He give me multiple slice. Me don't need to go buy them jackpot or lick them bone dice. Cause I already do. I want the ultimate price. Me don't need to go ask for my inheritance like the prodigal son. Me daddy give me to me stop up in a lump sum. He give me the sound code and even the big number. You know me say we are walking a divine favor. You are Jehovah Jireh. You are my provider. You are Jehovah Jireh. You are my provider. I say you are Jehovah Jireh. You are my provider. Lord, you provide for me. You provide for me. Lord, you provide for me. Oh, Jesus, provide for me. Oh, Lord, you provide. Jesus, you provide. Lord, you provide for me. Lord, you provide for me. Father, bless me with health and say, go and come and dwell. Think over me, it with a helmet. And not a belt, from the way sing me the truth. So me use it as my belt and all my blessing me freeze. So the whole of them mental humans tremble. When on my knees, me knelt and when the time get cool. Think over me up with a belt. Give me the inspiration, finish with the great depression. Just like when it gave Roosevelt, you are Jehovah Jireh. You are my provider. I say you are Jehovah Jireh. And you are my provider. Yeah. And when you get up, stand up and give your life, you know, say Jesus Christ, him and you provider. And when you get up, stand up and give your life, you know, say Jesus Christ, him and you provider. And when you get up, stand up and give your life, you know, say Jesus Christ, him and you provider. Hey, and when you get up, stand up and give your life, you know, say Jesus Christ, him and you provider.